But what a start from City's point of view.
Yeah, and any game plan has gone right out of the window as far as Erik ten Hag is concerned, who in his white shirt and his dark slacks is stood in that technical area where the slightly more casual Pep Guardiola in his black T-shirt is just prowling inside his little square. But Manchester City already leading by a goal to nil. The first 3 o'clock kickoff for an FA Cup final in 12 years. The first FA Cup final to be held in June. And we've witnessed the fastest ever goal in an FA Cup final. Manchester City then, on that far side, the right. De Bruyne to take it. Oh, and the header from Ruben Dias just brushes the side of the netting of the right-hand post and goes out, and there was a number of City fans on this near side who actually thought they'd just scored a second.
There's a good ball whipped in from De Bruyne, halfway into the Manchester United half near the touchline, but it's a free header, good header from Diaz, 12 yards out, uses the pace of the ball to direct it. I'm not so sure De Gea was saving that, you know, he's rooted, and it just catches the side netting.
If it is Gundogan's final appearance in the sky blue of Manchester City, and this indeed is David De Gea's final appearance for Manchester United, it means that that club record of 189 clean sheets will stand for the Spanish keeper after conceding so early on here at Wembley Stadium on BBC Radio 5 Live. Stones turns, plays the ball to Walker. Walker now towards Ruben Dias inside the centre circle. There is a real buzz from the sky blue of Manchester City away towards our right. Here is Gundogan, the goal scorer, takes it on the half turn. Comes forward now, midway through the United half, along the ground. De Bruyne waits. Bernardo Silva out on that right-hand side. Walker back towards De Bruyne, forward ball. Stones makes the run in towards the penalty area. Stones holds on to the ball with his back to goal, out towards De Bruyne, plays it in low, headed away by Lindelof. Comes out as far as a Walker, who chests the ball forward. Rodri then lets it come across his body as he runs back, and Manchester City are in control here in these opening 5 minutes, keeping the ball very, very well. Akanji's had such an excellent season, runs forward, out towards Grealish, midway through the United half, just in from this left-hand side, and passes the ball back. They're zipping it around Manchester City. Nice little layoff by Gundogan, actually goes astray. Manchester United give it away. Now they feed it towards Grealish. Haaland is with him. Grealish will go it alone, but drags his right-footed shot from just outside the D, wide of the left-hand post, out for a goal kick. City still lead 1-0.
Bruno Fernandes careless there with a little flick, gave the ball away, and Grealish onto it, cuts inside on his right foot. There's a decent opportunity. He was 22 yards out level with De Gea's right-hand post. He just drags his shot past the post. Just seeing that Gundogan effort again, laces the ball, all sorts of dip on it. What a finish that was.
Goal kick that De Gea, all in yellow, away towards the left, eventually takes right-footed over the head of Akanji. Sancho making the run out to this near side, and out it goes for a throw. And just think, there might be some stragglers who will have missed that moment of history if they were idling their way up Wembley Way. 14 minutes was the official. Well, we'll wait for it officially. That was John Murray. I trust in the big man. The official timekeeper on BBC Radio 5 Live. 6.5 minutes played, and Manchester United, with Lindelof, go all the way back to David De Gea. De Gea strikes it downfield, looking towards Rashford. One bounce and through to Ortega, who's in a luminous orange goalkeeping outfit towards our right-hand side. I said John has said 14 seconds. Opta is saying 13. It's just got even better.
Yeah. I actually scored a quicker goal, I think, than in the Premier League game, but that was still good from Gundogan.
Wasn't any days for Roxon, was it? Clearance by Ortega downfield. De Bruyne tries to help it forward, headed away by Casemiro. Rodri lifts it out. Bernardo Silva tries to bring it under control. A little bit scrappy there at the moment. Comes out to Bernardo Silva once again, but Eriksen gets the foot into the challenge. And now it's Fred to come forward. Lay off by Rashford. Attacking the City end. Ball played forward by Fernandes, out towards Sancho. Back to Fernandes. Ball played out to Ericsson. Bruno Fernandes to Casemiro. Way out from goal. Shoots. Cleared by Stones just inside his penalty area. Headed back well by Lindelof. Manchester City now being forced back by United as the ball is played out by Fernandes to Wan-Bissaka. The boos, the whistles, the jeers from the City supporters. That's the end that United are attacking. Ball lifted towards Bruno Fernandes. Appeals for handball. Referee Paul Tierney says it'll be a free kick. Jaap Stam is also with us. Yeah, obviously United conceding so early, 13, 14 seconds. What have you gauged about their response since?
Yeah, well, they need to do something. Of course, they don't need to go like blind going forward and pressing, because, you know, your City's got the ability, the quality to pass through them. So they're doing it gradually. They're coming up. They're going to play a bit higher up the pitch, trying to press, and also in possession, trying to create something. It's a totally different game now for City, because City, they've got the lead. They don't need to go every time forward. You know, they've got a bit more time at the moment, you know, in possession as well. And you see by, you know, in certain moments that United is still waiting a little bit. Now the intentions are a little bit higher, but City with three at the back and playing at times with wing backs or with wingers dropping in a little bit makes it difficult to defend for United.
Well, in the Premier League, the champions this season only lost 1 of 31 when they'd scored first. Their defeat was against Manchester United, winning 25 and drawing 5. Of such an impressive statistic for Pep Guardiola's side. As Bernardo Silva glides forward on the right-hand side, tries to fire over the cross, cut out by Wan-Bissaka. Akanji, though, will retrieve it. We're in the 10th minute. Manchester City lead by 1-0. BBC Radio 5 live in the World Service. Diaz spreads a forward ball out towards De Bruyne. De Bruyne can't control it, bounces away off his right foot, out for a goal kick. Chris Sutton.
It was a poor touch from Kevin De Bruyne. You don't often say that. Good diagonal ball from Diaz, but Manchester City causing Manchester United problems in that midfield area. John Stones just moving forward into midfield. That's been a feature of his game, hasn't it?
Yes, it has.
In recent months. And he plays that position so well, and then when out of position he will drop into a back four, but Manchester United just struggling to cope with Manchester City in the early stages.
That hybrid role that he certainly seems to be enjoying as well, and really relishing, John Stones, as Walker just puts his foot on the ball over on that far side, plays it back to Ruben Diaz. Ericsson will go towards him, plays it back to Ortega, gets it out from his feet, right-footed ball to Akanji on this near side, the left. What a signing Akanji has been for Manchester City. And now back with Diaz. Rodri gives it back to the Portuguese international, and he approaches, I don't know, 6 yards away from the centre circle inside his own half. And Manchester City now with Bernardo Silva. Back to Ruben Diaz once again here on BBC Radio 5 Live. The Scottish Cup final to come at 5:30. Celtic against Inverness, as the ball is played out to Akanji, and he's actually caught Casemiro there as Akanji, and has also injured himself in the process. Casemiro's back to his feet. Akanji has stayed down.
Yeah, it's a free kick for Manchester United. He actually took a little bit of a heavy touch, Akanji, and Casemiro read the situation well, got his body in, and Akanji just I think he twists his knee or his ankle. It looks a bit of a painful one, that, for him. He's still down on the turf.
Well, would be a worry with the Champions League final a week away. This time next week, of course, BBC Radio 5 Live in Istanbul. But I guess, yeah, with your experience, you've just got to focus on the task in hand rather than thinking about what might be in terms of a treble.
Yeah, you don't need to think about what's happening, you know, the next week. You need to focus on this game and try to bring it to a good end for City.
You know what, Ian, as well, though. I mean, Manchester City players, they've been so successful under Pep, and it's because of the process. It's because they, focus on the job in hand, the next game. They don't look too far ahead. That's where they've got their success from.
Well, looking to try and emulate the treble of Manchester United in '99. And of course, 4 days later, when Manchester United won the treble in '99, Manchester City, in a rather dramatic playoff game, were here at Wembley, beating Gillingham in a penalty shootout. How their fortunes have changed since. As Akanji back on the field of play, marshalling the ball out safely for a goal kick that Ortega will take. 13 minutes played. Ortega will leave the kicking duties for Ruben Dias.
It used to happen in Sunday football, that sort of thing, didn't it? Let the centre-half take the goal kick.
Dias out to Akanji, up towards Haaland. It was a heavy touch. He went straight towards Eriksen. His little flick in the direction of Rashford was repelled by the head of Stones. Walker now has it on that far side. Walker plays the ball back. Bernardo Silva to Ortega, who's actually out of his penalty area on that right-hand side, and hits it high and long downfield. The faintest of touch off the head of Haaland, and Wan-Bissaka back to his goalkeeper, David De Gea, who clears. De Bruyne was running towards him. Here is Eriksen in the centre circle, couldn't get it out towards that left-hand side. Eventually into the shadows of the stand on that far side is Shaw. His diagonal ball is played back off the chest of Eriksen, and Raphael Varane, the ex-French international, goes back to De Gea, who floats the ball long once again. Rashford trying to make that run in behind. Here is Rashford. Pokes the ball into Sancho. Sancho enters the penalty area, back to Rashford, couldn't get it out from underneath his feet in time, and Akanji with a clearance for City. Casemiro wins it back. City don't stop that attack on the edge of the penalty area. Sancho tries to win it back. Grealish on the defensive duties on this occasion, plays it towards Gundogan, the goal scorer, and then sliding in was Bruno Fernandes, but the decision goes against United, and it's a throw to City.
Yeah, lovely composure from Jack Grealish, deep inside his own half. Turns and pokes the ball with the outside of his right foot up the line. Strong challenge from Bruno. There's nice feet from Sancho on the right-hand side of the box from Manchester United. Rashford just couldn't manoeuvre the ball, and Dias dealt with him.
If it's not the most, it's certainly one of the most significant derbies. The first ever meeting in a domestic final. 131 years and 8 months after their first meeting. And then you get the start that we had here at Wembley with Gundogan. 12.91 seconds, giving Manchester City the lead. We've been playing for a quarter of an hour here on BBC Radio 5 Live. And at a walking pace in the heat, Ruben Dias just puts his foot on the ball.
Yeah, it's just interesting the way Manchester United have set up, with Sancho playing more as the central striker, I suspect. Well, we all thought that Rashford would be the one who plays as a central striker, but I think they'll be pretty fluid, Manchester United.
Without Anthony and no Martial. Anthony was carried off on a stretcher against Chelsea in the penultimate game of the season. Free kick that Manchester City will take. Akanji to Gundogan, strokes it back to Akanji inside the United half, finds Stones in that midfield role that he's moved forward into. Now he finds Gundogan, who looks up and spreads play out towards Kyle Walker, touches it off his right thigh on the halfway line, and back inside to Dias at a nice, comfortable pace. Forward ball, Haaland with a layoff. Rodri hits it early to the feet of Gundogan. Gundogan now looking for a ball towards Haaland on the stretch. Flag had stayed down to De Gea collects.
I tell you what a chance that was. And Haaland just couldn't get enough purchase with his right foot. He's stretching as the ball was whipped in. Doesn't get the contact. That's a decent opportunity. He was 6-7 yards out, and the ball dribbled through to De Gea, who made the save.
Wan-Bissaka finds Bruno Fernandes, hits it early, running for the run of Sancho, but Kyle Walker was on the cover, and Kyle Walker tidies up, sees off the danger, plays it to Ortega. United now try and press City, but Ruben Dias finds Akanji, and they did that very effectively. The layoff by De Bruyne towards Gundogan, forward towards De Bruyne, but there is Wan-Bissaka, who was just clipped. You just wondered, whether that might have been a little bit of a moment there for Sancho, but Kyle Walker, with his pace and his awareness, dealt with it effectively.
He's so quick, so he can cover for all the players, of course, in the defence. But you can see that when United has got possession and they play the ball around at the back, the City is willing to press straight away. They don't want to give United time on the ball. In a way, that gives United at times the opportunity to play a little bit more direct, and then they can maybe use the space with Sancho and maybe with Rashford a little bit more in behind. Because from outplay and from the back, you can see that United finds it very difficult. You see a ball now as well, De Gea on the ball. There's no centre-backs that he can use, so he's playing that ball again long, and he's basically giving it away to City.
That's the voice of the former Dutch international Jaap Stam, who is with us here at Wembley Stadium today on 5 Live in the World Service, as well as Chris Sutton in our commentary box. 18 minutes played in the sunshine at Wembley. Manchester United trailing to that Gundogan goal as Ortega plays it back, and out now they work it towards Walker. Little dink ball forward towards De Bruyne. Out of play it will go for a United throw that Shaw wants to try and take quickly. And Lindelof to Casemiro, man of the match against Newcastle United here in the League Cup final. But City swarm over United and win the ball in the midfield, and now Haaland runs away with it over the halfway line, left of the centre circle, back towards Akanji. Akanji edges his way back towards the halfway line. Ruben Dias, he waits. Rashford in close attendance, and then it's Ortega who comes out of the penalty area for a little touch. Stefan Ortega for his 14th appearance. He's played in all 5 FA Cup games so far this season, where City are yet to concede. 9 clean sheets in his 13 games so far, although he did leave the field at half-time against Bristol City as Haaland was being held there by Varane. And that will be a free kick to Manchester City in the centre circle. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, it was good from Ortega. Manchester United had pressed the ball well and pressed high. The ball goes back to Ortega, clips the ball, tried to find Kevin De Bruyne, who let it run beyond him into Haaland, who draws the foul. They always have that option, don't they, City, with Haaland's physique, to miss the midfield out if they need to. They don't often do that, but it's a good option.
20 minutes played, and City lead United in the derby. On Derby Day, that was won by Auguste Rodin at 9-2 ahead of the outsider King of Steel at 66-1. Manchester United were 9-2. They were the outsiders in this cup final. When have Manchester United been ever 9-2 for a cup final? But it's going in the way of the champions of England, Manchester City, who lead by a goal to nil. 20 minutes into this FA Cup final, the 142nd final, as here is Haaland, who turns away from his man, gets it out with his left foot and shoots. It was moving in the air, but it wouldn't come down. It was a good foot over the crossbar as it swerved away and out for a goal kick as City still lead 1-0.
Haaland just says get out of the way to Varane, but that came from a goal kick from De Gea, just a long ball. Diaz wins the header, bounces to Haaland as basic as it is really. Takes the ball down, turns Varane and just out-muscles him and fires a shot just over from 20 yards. We've seen that all season. There's no one who can really cope with Haaland's physique in the Premier League. Players, defenders just bounce off him, don't they?
It's off that trusty left foot of his, where he's scored 34 of his 52 goals. More with his left foot than Wolves in their entire team with 31. And the same as Everton, who scored 34 throughout their Premier League campaign. 10 with his right foot, 8 with his head. What an exceptional season Erling Haaland has had so far for Manchester City. Back with David De Gea. Chris.
Yeah, he doesn't have the confidence to play out from the back. Well, he has done there. And they actually get out. Looked a bit hesitant, De Gea. That's not one of his strengths, is it?
No.
Ball at his feet, but they've actually got themselves into a decent position here.
Wan-Bissaka tried to play the ball in from the right-hand side towards Sancho. City play it back to Ortega. Sancho faces the City keeper, but he clears it right-footed, and that was a lovely bit of skill by De Bruyne. On the turn, takes it off the chest as he swivels, and he runs forward, showing his strength, and De Bruyne still going, and eventually stopped. I think it was Eriksen who got there on the edge of the United penalty area. Now urged on by the red wall behind them towards our left-hand side, and Rashford is sent away, and then Diaz bundles him over. No foul, instead it'll be a goal kick.
That was a good race, that. Diaz had a yard on Rashford. Rashford drew it back in. I actually thought it was a corner ball for Manchester United. Manchester City get away with one. But interesting, and just a couple of moments earlier there, Ortega going direct again, beyond that Manchester United press, into De Bruyne, who didn't pick the right moment to pass them when Haaland made the run. They're so switched on, the City players. You know when to pass, where to pass at the right time.
Midway through the first half, BBC Radio 5 Live to take you through to half-time. Here's our football correspondent, John Murray.
Yes, thank you very much, Ian. I was thinking the same as you, Chris, when De Bruyne had the ball just outside the penalty area, whether he was going to find that pass to Haaland that he has done on so many occasions this season. But on that occasion, he just delayed it, and there were defenders around. However, Manchester United coming forward as they play from left to right as we look from the dressing room side of Wembley Stadium. And here is Sancho just outside the box in the shadows. Back it comes centrally to Bruno Fernandes, and then Eriksen with a high pass out towards the right-hand side here. Wan-Bissaka brings it down, ball in from Casemiro, and then a glancing header. Tame stuff from Rashford in between the penalty spot and the edge of the area. Just a little glance that sent it 4 or 5 yards wide of the post and behind for a goal kick. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, it was a hopeful ball in from Casemiro. Just helped in, and very difficult to score from that position for Marcus Rashford. 14 yards out, ball behind him, just trying to help the ball on, flick it on.
Another problem, Chris, for Manchester United. David De Gea has sat down outside of the penalty area, and he's receiving treatment on, well, difficult to tell from here. It looks like, I mean, it's in the lower leg area, is it?
Yes,
oh no, it's his right thigh, it looks like, possibly.
The upper leg area.
Upper leg, as opposed to the lower.
Yeah.
Well, this doesn't look good. This does not look good for David De Gea.
I actually think it might be the knee, which would we describe as the middle,
the central leg area. So this could be a problem for Manchester United. And Jack Butland is on the bench, yet to play for Manchester United, on loan from Crystal Palace, and he's been sent out to warm up. He's got his gloves, he's just pulled them out of the back of his shorts. The England goalkeeper now going through a rigorous warm-up, hopping and skipping down the line, twirling his arms around, and the rest of the players have taken the opportunity on this hot afternoon, a summer's afternoon, a splendid summer's afternoon at Wembley Stadium, with the sky blue to the right and the red to the left, to take a swig of the water bottles. De Gea has received treatment, physio's left the field, and it looks as though De Gea is going to be able to carry on. So 25 minutes played, Manchester City leading Manchester United by 1-0. What an incredible start to the FA Cup final it was. If you've joined us late, Manchester City scoring with the first attack of the match what is the fastest goal in an FA Cup final. So here we are, 100 years on from the first Wembley final, watching the first major cup final between these two great Manchester clubs, and what happens? We see the fastest goal in any of the now 142 FA Cup finals. And it's been rounded down, according to our producer, Gary Flintoff, to 12.91 seconds when Gundogan's volley hit the back of the Manchester United net. De Gea, he could hardly move to his left.
Well, he didn't move, did he, at all? He takes... The volley wasn't at the helped on by De Bruyne, and he takes it so early, Gundogan does, and the goalkeeper doesn't get any sort of step in or anything. I think he was stunned. Manchester United were stunned. What a strike.
One of the questions that I was posing right at the start of 5 Live Sport this afternoon was whether Manchester City would be able to re-find their momentum after the last few games when Pep Guardiola has changed his team. Well, it took us into the 13th second before we found out that they very much could recapture their momentum. What a start, what a goal, brilliant volley. What was he, 21, 22 yards out? Here's Diaz bringing it forward again for Manchester City. De Bruyne now, it was De Bruyne who set up the goal, headed it across and back to Gundogan. Now he's on his left foot, De Bruyne shoots! And it's low and wide of David De Gea's left post as he dived down and across.
Yeah, but that space opened up because of the centre-half Diaz running forward and dragging Eriksen with him. The ball popped into De Bruyne, a little shift, right foot to left foot, and then lashes a shot a couple of yards past De Gea's left-hand post.
I mean, the way that the match started, without question, it knocked the stuffing out of Manchester United. You know, it took them a little while to recover in the match. And Ortega coming into the team's yet to make a save. Ball played forward now for Rashford, though. For Manchester United, up to the edge of the penalty area. Two defenders with him, Akanji and Diaz. So Rashford has to turn and give it back to Wan-Bissaka on the right-hand side. Wan-Bissaka runs his foot over the ball. Rashford's out here on the right as well. Gives it to Casemiro. Whistles from the Manchester City fans. Dragged back by Casemiro. Through to Wan-Bissaka. But overhit his pass infield. Bruno Fernandes is left on the ground. Bernardo Silva's bringing it forward. Bernardo Silva then couldn't find the pass to the left-hand side to De Bruyne. And Manchester United have it back with Varane, who finds Bruno Fernandes. Manchester United 1-0 down in the 13th second. The only positive for Manchester United is that it's not got any worse, and it could have done in terms of the scoreline. Fred rolls it back to Bruno Fernandes, angled high ball across. Wan-Bissaka heads it across the area, but there's no one there in red. There are one or two shouts from Manchester United that might have struck an arm in the box, a City arm.
It was Grealish tracking Wan-Bissaka. It's a good ball from Bruno Fernandes, just a ball dinked over to the far post. Wan-Bissaka headed the ball across, and I think Manchester United players are saying, well, on the way through, it took a deflection from Grealish, but the protests have stopped.
They have. Manchester City 1, Manchester United 0. Ilkay Gundogan. So that's double figures for him now, his 10th of the season. So he's the 6th Manchester City player to reach double figures in goals in all competitions this season. And that was their 149th goal of the season in what is their 60th match in all competitions. Manchester City.
They're going to VAR.
Now then, this must be for the Grealish. This must be for the what looked like a handball. VAR have spent a long time looking at this. So David Coote has said to Paul Tierney, you need to go and have a look at the screen. And if this is a penalty, this is an enormous get-out-of-jail card for Manchester United.
And the fact he's been asked to go to have a look, Paul Tierney, let's have a look.
Well, the two players, we're seeing the pictures now, the two players are very close together. Wan-Bissaka on the right-hand side of the penalty area, heading it back across. Grealish jumping with him. He's about a yard away from him, with his back to him, and it catches his fingers.
His arm is up, and I think it's outside the silhouette. I think this will be given.
That's without doubt, that's outside of the silhouette, because his arm is up, it's outstretched in front of him. And it's a penalty. It's a penalty to Manchester United, who've hardly been in the game since the opening goal in the 13th second, and now, suddenly, out of almost nowhere, they have a penalty for the handball by Jack Grealish, an unwitting handball. His back was to the player, the Manchester United player, Wan-Bissaka, but it was an outstretched arm. Referee Tierney's had a look at it, and he says penalty Manchester United.
Yeah, but I think it's the correct decision. You know, Jack Grealish protesting and saying, well, you know, where am I supposed to put my arm in that position? But it's been awarded. It was outside of the silhouette as far as I could see. What a chance.
Well, Sancho and Fred have been designated as the penalty spot protectors, so they're standing next to that. And it's Bruno Fernandes, not Marcus Rashford, who has got the ball. I was looking to Rashford, but it is Bruno Fernandes, who scored 3 penalties this season. Scored the equaliser the last time these teams met in the Premier League in January. And it is Bruno Fernandes who will attempt to draw Manchester United level. A straight run-up. Up he steps now, little steps, then the hop, and it's in! Ortega sent the wrong way! And it's Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1, and suddenly, out of nowhere, Manchester United are back level. What a break that is for them.
Oh, it is, but the correct decision, and he takes it brilliantly. Bruno Fernandes. Really cool run-up, slow run-up. Couple of dancing steps. Ortega goes to his left-hand side. Fernandes sees him and just controls the ball into the other corner, 1-1.
Let's go down pitch side to Juliet Farrington. Where are you?
Yeah, I'm right behind where that penalty was taken, and as Bruno Fernandes went off to celebrate, wheeled away in front of the Manchester City fans, items were thrown onto the pitch, including a water bottle, a pair of glasses, and something else that I think hit Victor Lindelof. Casemiro complained to Paul Tierney, the referee, but Bruno Fernandes, as he walks now towards the Manchester United fans, fist celebrations as United right back into this FA Cup game.
So for the first time in the FA Cup this season, Manchester City have conceded a goal. They needed the help of VAR. Pep Guardiola walks across now in his black t-shirt, hands behind his back, walking and talking to the fourth official, Peter Banks, and then he goes back and has another word as well. Doesn't matter, it's on the scoreboard.
Yeah, that's right. He looks frustrated, but you know what, John? I think it was the correct decision. The nature of Grealish's arm, it was out. It was the right call. Manchester United don't deserve to be level, but they are.
I know someone who might agree with you. We'll hear from Jaap Stam again in a moment or two. There is a red smoke bomb that's gone off in the Manchester United end. Grealish now up to the edge of the area. Gundogan chips it across to the back post. It's headed back. De Bruyne lifts the ball right across the penalty area, but over everyone in there, whether in red or sky blue, and it's behind for a Manchester United goal kick. So Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1. Jaap Stam, what are you thinking now?
Yeah, no, it's been a difficult game for United, not creating a lot. City being the better team in terms of having possession and playing and creating chances. But you can see this is a final. It's a different game. Bad positioning, I think, from Grealish as well when that ball's been played in there as well. So went over the top, and Wan-Bissaka had the header. He needs to turn his body, his hand goes up, and then he touches it, and then you get the opportunity to get back into the game. So this can be and needs to be, you know, a big boost for United in stepping up and going to to hopefully win this game.
So 1-1 the score. This is 5 Live from the BBC. You can listen as well via BBC Sounds if you're on the move. We're on the World Service as well, the BBC's World Service. And actually as well, you can watch the BBC TV pictures with our 5 Live commentary via the red button, the iPlayer, via the BBC Sport website as well. Or you can listen to Guy Mowbray's excellent television commentary as well. So Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1 here in the London sunshine. We're going to head to Tyneside though, to St James's Park on Super League Magic Weekend for the latest from Dave Woods.
Sunny here too, full-time. Salford 26, Hulkingston Rovers 16 in the first game. Kenny Seo and Chris Atkin with late tries sealing it for Salford. They've been Hull KR 26-16.
Thank you, Dave. And the choice of listening, by the way, on Sports Extra Test Match Special is there, with England closing in on victory against Ireland. Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1. Ireland are currently 8 wickets down in their second innings. And Manchester City with the ball on the halfway line. So the goal, the penalty, the equaliser, scored by Bruno Fernandes in the 32nd minute. Here is Akanji on the left-hand side, plays it to Grealish, and then in comes the challenge from Wan-Bissaka, the two players involved in the penalty incident. And it's tackled out of play by Wan-Bissaka for a throw-in to Manchester City. That was one of the choices that Erik ten Hag made today, Wan-Bissaka or Dalot. And Dalot, having just signed a new contract this week, is among the substitutes. There's no Anthony, by the way, in case you're wondering, not among the substitutes either, with his ankle injury. Lindelof playing the ball back to the edge of the penalty area where it's cleared downfield. Eriksson tried to glance it on. Manchester City with De Bruyne, who does well to work it forward to Stones, who is near the edge of the penalty area. He likes it up there in this new role. Stones crossing from the right wing, and it's deflected, comes off the head, off the foot of the defender and behind, and it's a corner to Manchester City. First corner of the final, Chris Sutton.
Yeah, intelligent run, well, on a couple of occasions there from John Stones. First of all from the throw-in, got him behind Jadon Sancho, and Manchester United scrambled the ball clear, but Stones stayed up and forces the corner.
Yes, the Barnsley Beckenbauer at it again. Corner from the right-hand side. De Bruyne places the ball in the quadrant, raises both of his arms. Manchester United fans all around behind him, angles it back. Then it's given back to De Bruyne, right-footed ball in, looking for Haaland. Important from Casemiro, who just nipped back in there. Haaland was waiting in the 6-yard box, but Casemiro got there to clear.
Yeah, that's what he does, Casemiro. He smells danger. And there was danger there. Haaland lurking, and Casemiro just headed the ball clear in that near post space.
Yes, there was more than a whiff for him to smell there. It was quite pungent. Here's Akanji with some space on the left-hand side, playing the ball in, then gets it back, has a look up, and he right-footed to the edge of the box, but Varane jumped. Fred misses his touch on the edge of the penalty area, but there was cover there from Luke Shaw to hook it away back into the centre circle. So Manchester City have settled again now after the award of the penalty and the conceding of the equaliser. It's Manchester City who are back dominating the possession. Crossfield pass, excellent from Walker to Grealish in the United right-back area. Grealish now to the edge of the penalty area to Gundogan, then back to Grealish again. Grealish, little steps into the box, slips it through. Stones is there. Stones angles it back. De Bruyne is challenged by Fred. De Bruyne goes down in the area, shouts for Manchester City for a penalty. Paul Tierney says no.
Well, it's an interesting one, that, Pep. Having a word with the fourth official, was there enough contact on De Bruyne from Fred? I just wondered why. I know John Stones was at an angle. It was a really good run, clever pass from Grealish. Why he doesn't shoot there, John Stones? Not far out at all. The angle was against him, but unselfishly pulled the ball back. Difficult opportunity.
Manchester United lose it. Eriksen is easily dispossessed by Gundogan. I mean, we've seen John Stones getting forward, as you've suggested, but I mean, he was playing as Bernardo Silva, John Stones there, getting to the byline, cutting the ball back, and Rashford goes down. That's under a challenge from Gundogan, and I think Casemiro is also down over there, so two Manchester United players on the ground. It's given us a free kick for that second challenge on Rashford.
And the Manchester City players having a word with the referee, saying, well, why wasn't that a penalty for us for the foul on Kevin De Bruyne?
This was Fred's challenge on Kevin De Bruyne. It was about a yard inside the penalty area. We're just seeing it again now on our screen here. Ooh, they've got a case, haven't they?
I think there is contact. Is there sufficient contact? I'm not so sure. See it again. There's not enough there to award a penalty. No way. I think Fred uses his body and eases De Bruyne out. De Bruyne hits the deck.
So they've had a look at it, and they are, agree with you, Chris, play is back underway. By the way, we heard Juliet mention the fact that objects were thrown down. She mentioned that Victor Lindelof was struck by something, but he's okay. Should point that out. He's able to continue. It hasn't, I don't think, caused him too much discomfort. And the Women's Champions League final currently underway, by the way, in Eindhoven. The latest is Barcelona 0, Wolfsburg 2. Alexandra Popp has scored the second goal. 2 goals here, but it's 1 apiece. Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1, as the sun just disappears for a moment or two. It is a baking hot June afternoon on Derby Day. We brought you the Derby earlier, live. Auguste Rodin winning the Derby. And here come Manchester United with Rashford on the right-hand side. Sancho making a run. Rashford, the angle's tight. Rashford crosses, hits the defender, Diaz, who went to ground. Then the ball bounces out of play for Manchester United's first corner of the match.
Yeah, just persistence from Rashford on that right-hand side, driving into the box, angle against him, tries to fire a shot or a cross in, and Diaz as well stands his ground, but a corner for Manchester United.
And commentary to come later on the Scottish Cup final from 5:30. It's an epic weekend of sport, and we'll bring you the full picture here on the BBC. Corner then, Eriksen to take this, standing with his hand on his hip and the other one in the air. And Eriksen, outswinger, which is Casemiro, got a glance, and then Varane arriving at the back post, couldn't keep the shot down, came at him quickly, couldn't control it, and it's over the angle of post and bar and behind for a goal kick. 1-1.
There's a chance for Varane. Casemiro always makes a nuisance of himself, makes a run across that near post space, and I think the ball eventually comes off Haaland to Varane, who wasn't balanced very well. Outstretched left boot goes high and wide. Half a chance that for Manchester United from the set piece.
1-1. Manchester City coming again. Almost half-time. First half is raced by. Here is the City goal scorer, Gundogan, to the right-hand side to De Bruyne. Now out further to the right to Bernardo Silva. De Bruyne tries to give it back to Bernardo Silva. Well, the ball had gone, and he was running shoulder to shoulder with Shaw. and it's given us a free kick to Manchester United. Well, Bernardo Silva went down, suggesting that he'd been caught by a flailing arm by Shaw, but referee Tierney's seen that as a foul by the Manchester City man on Shaw.
And players from both sides surrounding the referee. Luke Shaw does well. He spots the run of Bernardo Silva on the inside. It's a clever pass from De Bruyne. Shaw spots the run and just gets his body in. And Silva catches him on the way through. He's unhappy, Silva, that he was blocked off. That's all. Much ado about nothing, John, as they say.
So David De Gea to take this free kick. We described to you the problem that he had with a leg, but he seems to have shrugged it off, shaken it off, and takes this free kick downfield. Akanji is challenged by Rashford. City supporters feeling that Rashford might have fouled Akanji, who went down. Rashford went on. Akanji recovers and blocks it out for a throw-in down by the corner flag. Be interesting to see how many minutes are added on. Seems to be a bit of a hot topic at the moment, doesn't it? At the end of the first half, we've had lots of stoppages, and Wan-Bissaka will take this throw-in for Manchester United to Sancho. Wan-Bissaka slips it forward, must have taken a touch off Sancho, who is flagged offside, and it's a free kick to Manchester City. Had their big Champions of England banner in the stands before the start of the match. What a fantastic scene it was before the start of the match, before the cup final. I thought Abide With Me was brilliantly done. The choreography of that with the band and the gospel choir, the huge posters on the pitch, the flames going up, Alex Ferguson, Mike Summerby, the Prince of Wales. It is a great day, the FA Cup final. Don't believe what they tell you. Here's Diaz with the ball in the middle of the Manchester City half. Now Akanji. Akanji over the halfway line to Gundogan. And what a start to the game. Amazing, absolutely incredible volley from Gundogan to score like that in the opening seconds when, you know, the adrenaline must be bursting. But he can't have caught too many volleys better than that. Prime Zidane, Kyle Walker called him a couple of weeks ago, the way that the form that he's been in with the important goals in the latter end of the Premier League. And here are the champions, 3 times in a row. First team to win it 3 times in a row since Manchester United under Sir Alex Ferguson. 1-1 the score. We'll be in Istanbul with them next week, but they've got a match on their hands here against their City rivals. Grealish on the left-hand side. Grealish back in field to Gundogan. Gundogan, right-footed, clips it across. Kyle Walker gets the ball down in the shadows on the far side and then comes back into the bright sunshine. Rodri is there, shuffling forward with it. Now here's De Bruyne, centrally, 25 yards out, twisting, back onto his right foot. De Bruyne tries to play it across. It was blocked by Bruno Fernandes and bounces away for the red of Manchester United, who will look to break. Sancho hits the pass, but it was blocked, and indeed he's been fouled in there by Diaz. Manchester United supporters to our left howling for maybe the thought of a card for Diaz, but it's just a free kick.
Just uses his body to ease Bruno Fernandes out. Actually, it was a chance for Manchester United to counter-attack. They had numbers going forward, so you'd say a good foul from Manchester City's point of view.
4 minutes of added time at the end of a really eventful first half. 5 Live and the World Service from the BBC. Free kick played forward to Rashford, who tried to flick it back, but it came back to him, bounced back to him. Sancho there on the edge of the penalty area. Rodri's there as well. Big Rodri gets his body in. No one's played as much football for Manchester City this season as Rodri, and he was able to get the ball and play it away, but eventually it's another Manchester United throw on the left.
I've got to say, tremendous run though from Rashford to actually make something from that attack.
As Manchester City have the ball in the right back area. Oh, and it's bounced favourably for United into the box with Rashford, but he was crowded out really as much as anything else. And City had players back in there, very aware of the danger, and they were able to scrape it out for a throw on the right-hand side, which Wan-Bissaka takes back to the halfway line. So 1-1 the score. Gundogan initially, looking at my stopwatch, I called it as 14 seconds. Next we heard from Opta, it was 13 seconds. And our producer has timed it at 12.91 seconds.
Maybe get your stopwatch checked, John.
Well,
Well, 2 seconds out.
I was
essentially
9/100ths of a second away from being right. So I apologise for my error. Akanji takes a free kick back across to Diaz. Diaz over the halfway line to Rodri. Rodri then forward to Stones. Stones now to Manchester United players, beats them, drags it back, gives it out to Bernardo Silva, who's been quiet-ish actually in the first half. Bernardo Silva, then back to De Bruyne, who's out there. Bernardo Silva, who was the absolute star the last time this collection of outfield players started a match in the second leg against Real Madrid. And then the ball to the right-hand side from Akanji. Grealish, Wan-Bissaka dived in. I'm not sure how much contact there was there. Grealish went down sprawling, and it's a yellow card for Wan-Bissaka. So referee Tierney says there was certainly enough contact.
Yeah, it's a really wild lunge from Wan-Bissaka. He sees the ball, he thinks he can get there and win it in front of Jack Grealish. There's very little in that, though. He does lunge and he catches it. Well, he misses the ball and he catches Grealish on the follow-through. Grealish dives there, makes so much of that. What an opportunity for Manchester City. I think that's a harsh yellow card, that. I really do.
I'm guessing he's saying that's for the reckless challenge. It was mistimed. He came in at pace.
Was there really a lot of contact?
No, well, there wasn't. But it's a yellow card, and that's significant in the match. Now Wan-Bissaka yellow carded, playing against Grealish. Free kick to Manchester City on the left. 4 minutes of added time, and we're now into the 5th minute of added time, according to my stopwatch anyway. Free kick for Manchester City. De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva to take this. Manchester United holding their line on the edge of the penalty area. David De Gea moving from foot to foot, all in yellow, apart from the orange gloves. Just rubs them together. Bernardo Silva, false start. He runs away. Kevin De Bruyne says, no, come back again. Come back to Bernardo Silva, which he does. And then there's another false start. Runs over the ball. De Bruyne plays it in. De Gea comes and makes the catch. Cheered by the Manchester United supporters at that end of Wembley Stadium. And Paul Tierney, Lancastrian in charge for this Lancastrian FA Cup final, blows his whistle, and that is the end of the first half. Honours even after the amazing start to the final, with the goal in the 13th second, the fastest that's ever been seen in an FA Cup final. But then Manchester United getting the break. VAR called it, the handball by Grealish from the Wan-Bissaka header, and Bruno Fernandes scored from the penalty spot. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, I mean, what a start to the game from Manchester City. A stunning finish from Gundogan, and then Manchester City pretty much controlled the first half, but I don't think it was a contentious decision in the end. I did think it was a penalty, that handball from Grealish, and Bruno tucked it away nicely. Still Manchester City in the ascendancy, but honours even and all to play for.
So there we are, half-time in the 2023 FA Cup final. Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1, and here in the Five Live commentary box with us, Mark Chapman.
Both captains go to chat to the referee at half-time as they were coming off the field. Ilkay Gundogan then moved away. Bernardo Silva then took Ilkay Gundogan's place. Bruno Fernandes stayed, though, to chat to his Portuguese international teammate as everybody left the pitch. Overall, Yap, your view of that first 45?
Yeah, City was the most dominant team of the two, of course, by creating, especially from the beginning of the game, a little bit more. United struggling, in winning the ball, but also in possession. You can see that City is straight away, when United's got the ball, they've tried to put pressure on them straight away, so they can't come out on the counter for United. Occasionally United is doing so, is using the space with Rashford or with Sancho, but that's like minimum. It's not too often. United need to be aware of the space that they're giving to City as well, especially in front of their box, by defending, because against this team, if you give them too much space, it's open, they can create something. So they need to be a little bit more under their skin. I think they need to frustrate City a little bit more defensively, being a little bit more aggressive as well, and also on the ball in having possession, being a little bit better as well. So it makes it easier, because if you have possession better, you can keep the ball a little bit more. You frustrate City also in a certain way. That's why when you get under their skin, it annoys them, and it's difficult for them to get into the game.
Yeah, because that's the contrast, isn't it? City have the ball and there's a control about them. United have the ball and I'm not saying there's an element of panic there, but they don't seem to have the time.
No, but that's what you see in the first half, what City's trying to do, because they know the danger that United has in transition on the counter-attack. So that's why when they've got possession, they're playing high up the pitch. When they're losing it, they're straight away on top of the man who's got the ball. So they win it back early, or they make a foul, so they stop the play, which is a good way to do. But United needs to handle that a little bit better, or try to find a better solution to keep that ball, or to get out, from playing possession a little bit more.
I do think it's pretty much how we all expected the game to go, though, in truth, that City would smother Manchester United and dominate. And I think that Manchester United could have been braver and more composed on the ball in that first half. Maybe as the game goes on, and maybe if City tire a little bit, spaces will open up. But what do we know? We've got a game on now. Manchester United have been really resilient. Manchester City have had the better chances. But, you've got to say it's a really interesting dynamic, because City really deserve to be in the lead. They aren't. With the nature of the game earlier on in the season, which we've seen, anything could happen in the second half.
Yaps just had to go, but I think he thinks it was a penalty. And you think it was? I've long since stopped trying to figure out what the rule is, what the law is, how it fits into whatever excuse officials need to give this week. But what is Jack Grealish meant to do in that situation?
I think that honestly now that all players have to be aware that if you raise your arms in what is deemed to be an unnatural position,
so you have to jump like you're on a pogo stick.
Yeah. I know exactly. I know what you're saying, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I think that there is a general understanding within the game that if you raise your arm up and outwards, as Grealish's arm was, and the ball hits it, then you're in a bit of trouble. And as soon as Paul Tierney started heading towards the monitor, there was an inevitability about it, and it let Manchester United back into the game.
OK, second half on the way with Chris and Yap and Ian and John, but let's go back to the test match at Lord's. Ellie.
Well, Ireland have a little bit of a moral victory here, chappers, because they're going to make England bat for a second time, and that looked very much against the odds at the start of the day when they were 255 behind and effectively 4 down. But they're 356 for 8 now, and they lead by 4 runs. Andy McBride is still there on 85. Mark Adair was the last man out. He fell to Matthew Potts, and actually no, so he wasn't the last man out. Fionn Hand was the last man out, and he was the 5th wicket in this test match for Josh Tongue on his debut. So magnificently bowled by the young Worcestershire bowler. But Phil Tufnell sitting alongside me didn't think about an Ireland second innings lead, did he? That was not on the plan for the day.
Absolutely not. I didn't think we'd still be here. But listen, taken nothing away from this Irish side. They've fought hard. They've got stuck in. They played positive, as you say. Adair and McBride have played wonderfully well. And England haven't had any answers really to get the wickets. A little bit disappointing. Things got a bit sloppy as well. There were overthrows. I think England thought they were home and hose, but they're not going to give themselves. They're not going to get out on purpose, are they? And they've done really, really well, Ireland.
Absolutely. The thing is that we will now have an interval. We'll have the tea interval at some points. It's already been delayed. We don't think we're going to see James McCollum come out to bat because he was wearing a moon boot earlier on in the day. But is this kind of frustration for England? Did you think they would have? With this is the last time they'll be playing Test cricket before the Ashes in just under 2 weeks?
Absolutely. You want to finish things well, don't you? You want to be ruthless. You want to sort of get those last couple of wickets and say, right, there you go, good job, boys, and let's get back into the changing room. But no, the things were a little bit sloppy. There might be the odd little word said by Ben Stokes when they come in for tea. So, a little bit disappointed by England, but take nothing away from Ireland.
Absolutely. A lot of happy Irish fans here, chappers, and a terrific partnership for that 8th wicket. 163 Mark Adair and Andy McBride put on together. McBride is still there on 85, and Ireland 356 for 8, and they lead by 4.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Tuffers. Let's go to Epsom next, where the derby was won by Ryan Moore on board Auguste Rodin. John Hunt.
Yes, indeed, it was Ryan Moore's 3rd victory in the race, Mark. And Auguste Rodin, a tremendous winner of it, of course. So much expectation beforehand had surrounded Frankie Dettori riding here at Epsom for the final time, his 28th and final derby. His well-fancied favourite was Arrest, but I'm afraid he did not shine. Arrest fading to finish 10th in the race. So Auguste Rodin, the winner from outside, a King of Steel, a big gap to the third horse, White Birch, and other fancied runners. The Foxes was 5th, Passenger 12th, and Military Order finishing in 14th place. So a record 9th win in the race for trainer Aidan O'Brien. What a brilliant trainer he is. And after the event, he spoke to 5 Live's Gina Bryce.
We knew that he was a once-off, obviously, and for him to come along, he's an absolute superb athlete. He's pure natural, he's movement, he's quick, and he has personality, his temperament. Listen, he has everything, Gina, really.
He really does. Just talk us through those attributes and what you were seeing as the race was unfolding.
Yeah, we thought there would be a stronger pace, which would have suited him better. Like a slow pace up front when you're taking your time can get very tricky. But Ryan worked it all out. He rode him totally on feel. Pace was steady, so he had to quicken from the back. It's a difficult thing to do, so he had a lot of ground to make up. But Ryan was able to deal with it with the horse, and the two of them worked it out and found a way.
And Mark, just one footnote to the day, which is incidentally still continuing in bright sunshine. Just as the derby got underway, one Animal Rising protester did get onto the racetrack near the winning line. He was quickly apprehended. His actions have been condemned by Nevin Truesdale, who is the chief executive of the Jockey Club. He has said that will now be pursued through the criminal courts. There was a High Court injunction preventing such trespass, of course, launched last week. And Truesdale says the individual's actions were both deplorable and mindless.
Thank you very much, John. John Hunt at Epsom. They're taking tea at the Cricket Island 356 for 8. Let's go to Roland Garros next, French Open tennis. Russell Fuller.
Iga Swiatek, world number 1, defending champion, has beaten Wang Xinyu of China. 6-love, 6-love. She's quite fond of a bagel at Roland Garros. Iga Swiatek, she's been very dominant over the last few years. She won in 51 minutes, and at a similar sort of time, 19-year-old Coco Gauff beat 16-year-old Mira Andreeva, having lost the first set on a tiebreak. She came through strongly and won sets 2 and 3, 6-1, 6-1. A reminder that earlier, Elena Rybakina, a potential champion here, withdrew because of a virus. And some doubles news. Defeat in the last hour for Jamie Murray and Michael Venus. They've lost to the third seeds, Rocher and Arevalo. But through to the quarterfinals, Neil Skupski and his Dutch partner, Wesley Koolhof.
Thank you, Russell. Follow all of that on the BBC Sport website and app. Half-time here at Wembley. Half-time in the Women's Champions League final in Eindhoven as well. Maz Faruqi.
Yeah, and a bit of a shock here, Mark, because the favourites are behind. Barcelona 0, Wolfsburg 2 at half-time. The mistake from Barca at the back for the first goal coming from Lucy Bronze. She lingered too long on the ball, and Iwa Paya pounced, dispossessing her and powering in a strike from 15 yards. The keeper got a hand to it, but just couldn't keep it out. Barca then, as you expect, started to dominate possession, playing lots of intricate passing. They looked dangerous pretty much every time they've gone forward. There was a great chance in particular for Carolina Graham-Hansen, but Wolfsburg have played very well on the counter. That's how their second goal came from Germany's Alexandra Popp with the neat finish. A reminder, Alexia Putellas is on the bench for Barcelona this afternoon as she makes her return to full fitness from that ACL injury, but they might need her in the second half because they need something. Barcelona, they trail here to Wolfsburg 2-0 at half-time.
26-16 in the first match of Magic Weekend as Salford beat Hull KR. Wigan Catalan next up for Dave Woods at St James's Park.
We've been underway for only 4.5 minutes. Wigan 0, Catalan 2 is an early score. Arthur Morg with a 35-yard penalty to open the scoring. Otherwise, it's not seen too much action at either end. That win for Salford, by the way, sends them up to 4th in the Super League table.
So once we're done here at Wembley, we then go straight to Hampden for the Scottish Cup final, which gets underway at 5:30. Conor McNamara and Pat Nevin, your commentary team here. And we were talking to the Inverness chief exec earlier, Conor, and it is all about believing in miracles for the championship side.
It is. You know, I've been to so many games over the years, and I've never seen such a one-sided view. I haven't met a single person who gives Inverness any chance of denying Celtic the treble. I mean, even the main headline, when you open up the programme, the first page says, against all odds, Inverness will have to pull off one of Scottish Cup's greatest shocks to lift the trophy tonight. People aren't giving them the chance, but what a story it would be if they did. All the more so remarkable because Inverness were actually knocked out of the competition this season in the 4th round, but reinstated because Queen's Park had fielded an ineligible player, and they're going to give it a go. But Celtic hotly tipped to complete the treble here for Ange Postecoglou.
Pat Nevin what hope can you give? I think it's 15% of the whole of Inverness are on their way to Hampden, so what hope can you give them?
Well, there is the hope they get a nice suntan because the weather's really good here. Look, it's the biggest long shot, and those Inverness fans are very aware of that as well. But, you know, it's not impossible. Nothing is in football. We've seen some incredible results over the year. I'm not going to use that phrase from newspaper all that time ago because everyone has this week. But the unexpected can happen. Billy Dodds mentioned the game early in the season with Darvel and Aberdeen, which was staggering, absolutely staggering. Could not have imagined that beforehand. But Inverness will come in here, and Celtic have to have the worst game of the season they've had so far, have to get every decision with them, and Inverness have to take every chance they've got. And I'll throw about 4 more ifs in there as well. And if that all happens, they've got an outside chance. It's so far. It's so unlikely, but, you know, it's a game of football. It's 11-11, and you never know.
I wonder as well. Look, we can always make excuses for games coming too thick and fast or being a bit ring rusty. It can suit whatever narrative you want to give it. But Inverness, Caledonian Thistle haven't played a competitive match since the 5th of May. So we're talking some 29 days ago, Pat.
Yeah, that is not perfect. It's a long way from being perfect. However, some people say it's good to have a rest, as you say. And then, of course, Celtic, they've had quite a lot of games, but then they've been able to rest players because they've got really good backup. Now, it's not perfect for Inverness, but, you know, they wouldn't have complained about that beforehand because just getting to the cup final is amazing. But they have actually won the Scottish Cup final before, so, like, you know, for the actual club, it's not utterly and completely unknown. But not a lot in their favour, and you're right, having not enough games between then and now. But the other thing is, everyone's got themselves really fit. You know, most of the niggly injuries have gone. Most players at this point of the season have got little niggly injuries. So Billy Dodds will be down there pushing every single possibility he possibly can before this game starts. And his players should walk out there as fearless because there is no pressure whatsoever on that team, because no one expects anything from him.
Pat, Connor, thank you very much. Back at Hampden for the Scottish Cup final. It's a 5:30 kickoff. A full commentary here on 5 Live. You can watch it on BBC One Scotland and on the iPlayer as well. Manchester United are already back out. We will wait for City, who I'm sure will be here very shortly. What do United need to change, Chris?
Do you know what? I think result-wise at half-time, 1-1 is okay. I think they have to have a little bit more belief on the ball. But, you know, we talk about Manchester City and the way they play and the way that they smother teams. But I think as fatigue which will naturally set in for both sets of players in the second half, the spaces will open up. And then Manchester United, you know, will be hopeful they can get the ball players, Eriksen and Bruno, on the ball to create opportunities for the likes of Rashford and Sancho. But, you know, I do think that they have to be, you know, certainly they have to have more possession of the ball and carry a greater threat, which, you know, it was too sporadic in the first half. There wasn't enough of a threat from them, but they'll be hoping things change in the second half.
We are ready to go. Paul Tierney about to get us underway. He has done. Ian.
Thank you, Mark. Neither side has made a change at the start of the second half, as they are both now attacking their respective ends of the ground where their supporters are housed. So Manchester City in their sky blue shirts and white shorts are playing from left to right as we look, and Manchester United in their red shirts and black shorts are attacking the end away towards our left-hand side, where those flags and red and white and black bucket hats were placed on every of the 30,000 seats for Manchester United. So a reminder of the two teams, as Ortega is in goal for Manchester City, a back four of Walker, Ruben Dias, Stones and Akanji, midfield of Bernardo Silva, Rodri and Gundogan, and then De Bruyne, Grealish and Haaland, as Manchester United are attacking. And it was Sancho who was trying to weave his way in towards the penalty area. Manchester United with David De Gea in goal. He's in all yellow away towards our right-hand side. A back four of Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Varane and Shaw. Fred and Casemiro. And then with Bruno Fernandes, Eriksen, Sancho and Rashford through the middle. And whilst that goal, after 13 seconds, in the words of John Murray, knocked the stuffing out of Manchester United, the nature of the equaliser for Manchester United, City didn't really create a great deal after that goal.
No, but I think that the pattern of the game was still the same. In essence, City pushing Manchester United back as a bit of a stalemate, wasn't it, towards the end of the first half, and City was still the team in the ascendancy.
Ball played by Varane to Wan-Bissaka. Last season, when Liverpool played Chelsea here, it was only the third time that there'd been a shootout in an FA Cup final. As the ball is played by David De Gea.
That's dreadful from David De Gea.
And he's dragged it well wide.
It's a terrible kick. Which is why, in a large part of the first half, and we've seen in the early stages of the second half, David De Gea is just told to kick the ball long. It's as basic as it can get, but there's not the trust in him.
That was something that Jaap was talking about earlier on, about having to go long and able to play it out from the back. As Manchester City at the minute have it with Stones, who just trots his way towards the halfway line, passes the ball towards Bernardo Silva, making that run infield off the right touch line, and then the ball goes a long way behind Akanji. Has to retreat midway through his own half to keep that ball in play. Mention Jaap Stam, who's with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live and the World Service. What do you think the message will have been from your fellow Dutchman Erik ten Hag as Stones turns ever so well away?
Well, if you look at the first couple of minutes, then you see that United is pushing on a little bit. They're pressing a little bit higher, but that makes it, like now in transition as well, it makes it, well, that the game is going to be a little bit more open as well when you lose it. But they needed to do something, because you saw the first half as well, when you're dropping in deep, you make it easy for City to maintain possession, to keep it and to create as well, especially in the beginning of the game, the first 20-25 minutes.
The voice of Jaap Stam on the BBC. Certainly in the first half there was a verbal disagreement between Erik ten Hag and Pep Guardiola. Of course, ten Hag managed the Bayern second team when Pep was in charge of Bayern between 2013 and 2015, as Bernardo Silva finds De Bruyne. De Bruyne with a cutback behind Haaland. It was played in the inside right channel of the penalty area. De Bruyne just played it instantly, first time right-footed, and it went behind the big Norwegian.
A lovely weighted pass from Silva into De Bruyne, who'd made a forward run, and Gundogan and Haaland had just got ahead of the ball. De Bruyne fizzed the ball across, but no takers for City.
Prize of City from the Sky Blue support in the end away towards our right-hand side. The majority of the pitch now is in the shadows of Wembley, with the exception of Ortega's penalty area away towards our left. As I'm saying that now, the entire half away towards our left is now bathed in sunshine. There must have been a cloud passing over Wembley Stadium on this glorious day in the capital. The FA Cup final. Manchester City 1, Manchester United 1. De Bruyne tripped by Fred, pleads his innocence, free kick to City.
What a stupid challenge from Fred. De Bruyne twisting and turning with his back to Fred. He only had the option of popping the ball back to Bernardo Silva. Fred hacks him down. Daft challenge.
This free kick to Manchester City as De Bruyne is helped to his feet by Bernardo Silva, is about 6 yards up from the corner flag on the right-hand side. And De Bruyne getting his name chanted as it reverberates around Wembley by the City support. Bernardo Silva now walks away. De Bruyne will take this. It's probably about a foot inside from the touchline. Manchester United have Sancho just as the one in a solitary wall. Every other outfield player is back inside their penalty area with their red shirts. De Bruyne to take it, right-footed, hits it to the edge of the area. Gundogan down into the ground, and Gundogan done it again. Hit it first time, left-footed. David De Gea couldn't keep it out, and Manchester City are back in front in this derby final. And Gundogan at the double. City 2, Manchester United 1.
Well, in the first half we saw a brilliant volley with his right foot. This was left-footed. It's off the training ground, this one. De Bruyne floats a free kick up, and Gundogan is waiting on the edge of the box. There's no Manchester United player around him, but he chokes a left foot volley into the floor. He does not catch it flush. I think De Gea should do much better in the Manchester United goal. He may say he's unsighted a little bit, but I think it takes 2 bounces. Maybe De Gea gets a fingertip to it. That's not good enough from De Gea. I think the goalkeeper should do much better, but credit Gundogan. It's a shot, it's on target. There's a bit of spin on the ball, a bit like an off-cutter in cricket, but De Gea should save it. But Pep's happy, Manchester City are happy. Back in front, it's what they deserve.
It certainly wasn't as clean as his strike after 13 seconds. Indeed, it bounced twice before De Gea, and he did get something on it, but he couldn't keep it out. As Manchester United are going to have to come from behind for a second time this afternoon, and John Stones inside his penalty area is forced back, and to Ortega, and that was a risky one, and Ortega with a slice clearance. Don't think necessarily Ortega was expecting that, and it goes out of play. Yeah, Stam, Chris is saying De Gea should have done better. What do you think?
Well, I think the whole team should have done better. If you see their setup, you know, with Gundogan being totally free on the edge of the box, you know, he can just have a shot. I think as a player in your setup defensively as well, with these balls from the side, then you need to have a look around you. You need to have a look, okay, who's the free man, where's the free man, and you need to put somebody in between, so when the ball's been played over there, you can be aggressive on top of it. But we spoke about in the beginning of the game about United stepping up a little bit, and this goal comes from by dropping in deep again, of course, and then De Bruyne can turn open without being attacked, and then Fred needs to make a foul, and then you can see these situations. That's what you don't want to have.
You were critical of Fred for conceding the free kick, and it proved costly.
Yeah, it was foolish from Fred, the challenge. You know, but having said that, I mean, Yap is right. The ball to be floated up and Gundogan to get a shot off from the edge of the box. There should have been a Manchester United player in and around that. But David De Gea, bottom line is your goalkeeper's got to save that. He's had some howlers this season, De Gea, and I thought that was another one.
Well, Manchester City unable to emulate the last side, Bury back in 1903 without conceding a goal as they give the ball away, Bruno Fernandes. But they are now back in front as Wan-Bissaka with the cross. Everton, incidentally, with the last side to reach the final without conceding. In 1966, they were the winners. They beat Sheffield Wednesday by 3-2. And here, Manchester City are back in front, leading by 2-1. And 2 goals in 2 minutes in the Women's Champions League final. Barcelona 2, Wolfsburg 2 is now the latest score. Scottish Cup final to come here on 5 Live at 5:30. The Europa Conference League will be live on Wednesday night in Prague, and then next Saturday, Manchester City against Inter, the Champions League final, live in Istanbul. So much live football to look forward to on BBC Radio 5 Live. But it's the Manchester City voices you can hear in the background, just as they did when they scored first in the first half, as Stones forward. He was caught. Referee Paul Tierney will give that free kick to City.
I think he's a little bit fortunate there, John Stones. I think he's been brilliant this afternoon, and you know, plays that midfield role when he steps in so well. But he took a heavy touch and allowed Fred to make the challenge. But Manchester City being rewarded with the free kick. Quite a dangerous area. What, 30 yards out, Ian, would you say?
Not quite 30 yards.
29.
Go nearer 28. But it's right of centre as Manchester City play from left to right. A couple of inflatable bananas being knocked around in the City end away towards our right-hand side. The way that De Bruyne has shaped up doesn't look like he's going to have a dig at goal as David De Gea just lines up 2 in the wall. That's Eriksen and Sancho, just a couple of feet outside the penalty area. Haaland is obviously a natural target. Akanji and Diaz are inside that penalty area too, as is Stones and Rodri. De Bruyne, right-footed, clips it in. And the header back by Diaz, tried to set up a teammate. Haaland couldn't get there. Sancho will play it away, as it only goes as far as De Bruyne skips away from one challenge, plays it in low. That could have gone anywhere. It was off the legs of Lindelof, an outstretched leg, shades of Gary Mabbott. What was that in 91? And on this occasion it went behind for a City corner kick.
Yeah, Manchester United just unable to play the way out from the back, and De Bruyne, good feet right hand side of the box, and he fits the ball in, and Lindelof just Big deflection off his left boot. De Gea was rooted.
It was 87, wasn't it? The outstretched leg of Gary Mabbutt as De Bruyne with the corner kick. It's an outswinger headed away by Eriksen.
I thought it was 87.
Yeah, 91 was in my mind because of Erik Thorsvedt, the first Norwegian to win the FA Cup. Yet to be a Norwegian to score, as Erling Haaland hopes to, of course, create that, change that statistic here today. Found myself this week looking back on how many Norwegians have actually played in an FA Cup final. Might be one for you for sudden death a little bit later.
Henning Berg?
No.
Really?
He was injured, as Jaap will testify. As 10 in total. Here is Wan-Bissaka, meanwhile, back to the more serious business. As the ball is played infield. To Bruno Fernandes, runs forward, short. Level the penalty area left-hand side. 57.5 minutes played, BBC Radio 5 Live. Sancho lets it come across his body. City bring the ball out, though, with Walker. Walker's done well. Nicks it forward towards Gundogan. Gundogan inside the centre circle. Enters the United half and then drops back and waits for some support, and now feeds it to Grealish as he casually runs forward with Manchester City leading by 2-1. Now Rodri takes over. Rodri central area. De Bruyne has gone narrow. Fred runs out now towards Bernardo Silva, plays the ball back towards Kyle Walker. Every outfield player is in the United half as we approach the hour mark with the champions leading by 2-1 as Walker plays this ball in. An outstretched leg by Lindelof clears it away. Picked up by Casemiro. Running back to take it off his toes was Haaland. Real desire, terrific work ethic from the Norwegian. He now wants to make that run in off that left touchline, but City hold on to the ball and Grealish feeds it towards Gundogan. Gundogan sends over the cross, too far over the head of Haaland, and out of play it goes for a throw.
But that's why Manchester City is such a great team, and Haaland is a wonderful player. That work ethic, hunting the ball down, winning it back from Casemiro. Manchester United once again unable to find a way of getting the ball forward, and Haaland winning the ball back. Just Gundogan over hitting the cross.
United now have to do something that no side has done since January, and that's score twice against Manchester City as they look for the second leg of this treble. And Manchester United, Jaap Stam, are going to have to show again the resolve, or maybe a little bit of good fortune as they potentially had in that first half.
At the moment they're struggling. They find it difficult to keep possession. And you can see that City finds its spaces in between, like Rodri as well over there in midfield as well, to get on the ball. United is not able to put the pressure on City and to win that ball and to come out and again in possession. That makes it very hard to create something.
Well, they dashed the treble hopes of Liverpool back in 1977 with those goals from Stuart Pearson and Jimmy Greenough in a 2-1 win. But here, against their arch rivals, they are trailing by that scoreline as there is activity, and Garnacho is going to be coming on for Manchester United. The first change being made by Erik ten Hag. Walker plays it back towards to Diaz inside the centre circle of his own half. Plays it short. Rodri almost caught in possession.
Got away with that. Hustled by Bruno Fernandes. Manchester United nearly winning the ball back.
Came back recently against Wolves, did Alejandro Garnacho, after missing 12 games through an ankle injury. He was an unused substitute in the League Cup final against Newcastle, but he's going to get a run out, and he's going to have probably a good half an hour here to try and get Manchester United back into this FA Cup tie. Gundogan gets the return ball and runs forward. Finds De Bruyne. De Bruyne takes it in his stride. Kevin De Bruyne saved by the legs of David De Gea. Comes out towards Stones. Lays it off. Ball played out by Gundogan towards Bernardo Silva, right-hand side. He leaves it for Stones. Stones sends over the cross. Grealish rises. The referee's blown his whistle. Chris Sutton.
I think that's a harsh foul on Grealish if that was the case, for a little shove in the back. But really good from Gundogan. His link up with De Bruyne. De Bruyne had made a run from the right-hand side. Diagonal run across the box. The ball was fed to him. He gets a decent effort left-footed. It's a save De Gea should make. And he makes it with his feet.
You question whether Eriksen would be able to last the whole game. He's come off. Garnacho has come on. Bruno Fernandes will probably drop further back into midfield, and then we'll wait to see where. So Sancho now goes to the right, Garnacho to the left, Rashford still through the middle.
Yeah, and I think in truth the game has passed Eriksen by. Manchester United, I think, as Ten Hag trying to be positive with the selection, but they barely had the ball really, and he was pretty ineffective. And then in terms of what they can do with pressing the ball, that's not really his strongest suit. So they've got greater pace on now with Garnacho off that left-hand side, Rashford centrally, Sancho off the right, and Fernandes will be the higher-up player in midfield for them.
If you recall, towards the end of the season, Gundogan scored 2 goals, I think it was against Leeds United, and he was handed the opportunity to score his first ever hat-trick with a penalty, and didn't score it, missed that penalty. I don't think there'll be as much sentiment today if City were to be awarded a spot kick here today, with so much on the line, leading by 2 goals to 1. Manchester City playing from left to right as we look. Bernardo Silva towards Stones. Rodri hits it first time, and City effortlessly passing this ball around. We're going to go to the cricket. Ellie Oldroyd.
And Ireland have been bowled out for 362. England will need 11 to win. Great recovery from Ireland. They never thought they'd take it into the evening session. Andy McBride, 86 not out at the close. England will need 11.
Thank you, Ellie. Just a mere formality. Sports Extra for that. You can watch and listen to our 5 Live commentary through the red button, the iPlayer and the BBC Sport website. As here on 5 Live in the World Service with 64 minutes played, Manchester City are leading by 2 goals to 1.
Another long ball from David De Gea, just punted forward. Diaz wins the first header. I mean, it's pretty incredible the way that Manchester United are playing. I mean, they're still in this game, but I think it's going to be really interesting over the summer period whether De Gea is replaced as Manchester United number 1. They can't carry on like this. This is as basic football as it gets.
Might well be his final game, David De Gea. But yeah, you said earlier on, didn't you, when we were talking about the progression of Manchester United? I mean, last season 35 points, they finished adrift of Manchester City. They might well have cut that to 15 this season. But in terms of the style of football, as Haaland and De Bruyne try and head the ball towards each other, there is still a way to go before this Erik ten Hag side can play like they did at Ajax.
Yeah, but that's in the whole process, and everybody keeps, of course, talking about the process. But if you see these 2 teams playing against each other now, you see how comfortable City is playing in midfield as well. They play at times with 4, De Bruyne occasionally dropping in as well. And if you then are playing against 3 midfield players, which is what United is doing, and it becomes for United very difficult, especially if you don't have the legs in there as well to cover big distances. And that's what they need to change as well, and that's why it's so important for next season as well, if there are new owners coming in, that they need to back up the manager, because they need to bring several, it's not 1 or 2, they need to bring at least 4 or 5 very good players into this squad to compete really this City team for the Premier League. And occasionally you can beat them, you can win against them, but it's to be consistent on a certain level, you need to have a squad of very good players, especially how Ten Hag is trying to play. You know, he made improvement, but it's nothing like how he's been playing with Ajax in Holland and in Europe as well.
No. But Mason Mount has supposedly agreed personal terms. It would appear that he'll be the first of the players to be moving to Old Trafford. Manchester United had just hit a quick long free kick, but referee Paul Tierney wasn't happy with that once it retaken. 66 minutes played, BBC Radio 5 Live. 2 goals from Gundogan. Manchester City lead by 2 goals to 1 as the ball is played towards Shaw. Now to Fred, just shy of the halfway line. Tries to get away from the Rodri, but Rodri shows his strength and dispossesses the Brazilian. And now Kyle Walker back towards Diaz. Diaz back with Walker it goes. Ortega wants the ball, all in orange. away towards our left with his arms open wide. It goes back to him and he plays it towards Stones, and again they've beaten the United press, and now Rodri is able to run into a lot of space, and it starts to open up for Manchester City, and Rodri carries the ball midway through the United half, actually dispossessed by Rashford of all people, who feeds it towards Garnacho, but then Stones coming back wins it easily for Manchester City.
Stormer, John Stones, this afternoon. He has been brilliant in that Manchester City defence midfield.
And Gundogan, as Manchester City assume control once again, with Jack Grealish coming in off that left touch line. He's adapted to that role so well, John Stones. Here now is Walker. Pep Guardiola applauding with his hands above his head. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live. It's FA Cup final day. After this, we're going to Hampden for Celtic against Inverness. But to take you through to the end of the contest, here's our correspondent John Murray.
Thank you, Ian. Manchester City in control, in the lead. And Manchester United needs something to happen in order to wrest this back from them. They need the kind of break that they got in the first half, but I think for it to happen once against Manchester City is one thing.
Well, do you know what they need to become? They need to become braver on the ball, and the players need to take greater responsibility, as Casemiro did there.
Well, here's Wan-Bissaka coming down the right-hand side. Certainly the arrival of the teenager Garnacho was cheered by the Manchester United supporters, hoping that he can bring this bravery to the Manchester United team. Looking to the teenager to do that. And he's on the left wing, Garnacho, but the ball is in the middle with Lindelof, who's showing bravery, carrying the ball forward, the Swedish central defender. Then Bruno Fernandes now, 30 yards out to Rashford, centrally, shoots! And it dips over the top of the crossbar and behind and rattles into the advertising hoardings. And Rashford pulls up his red shirt to his face. Not close enough.
No, hit the ball well. Great venom in the shot as Bruno Fernandes on the half turn, 30 yards out, shaped to shoot, and just clever little pass fizzed into Rashford. 1-2 touches, and then he lashed the ball with his right boot. All sorts of swaz on it, John, but over the bar.
First attempt at goal by Manchester United in the second half. And we've got just under 25 minutes to play. The Women's Champions League final sounds like a thriller. Barcelona are now winning 3-2 against Wolfsburg, having been 2-0 down. Test match is over on Sports Extra. Test match special for the final knockings, as England come out needing 11 to win in their second innings. And here, Manchester City, I think there is that feeling among the sky blue half of Wembley Stadium, under the arch. If they're able to get another goal, that would probably be it. That would probably be the league and cup double for Manchester City. Stones, who's played so well, overhits a pass out of play down the right-hand side. He was looking for Bernardo Silva, and it's a throw-in to Manchester United. So 20 minutes to go, just over 20 minutes to go, and Manchester United have to find some inspiration. Erik ten Hag has made that first change. Garnacho has given it away halfway inside his own half to Haaland, and now Bernardo Silva back into his own territory, and Pep Guardiola puts a thumb up and waves a thumb at Bernardo Silva, says that's exactly what I want you to do. Brilliant celebration from Guardiola, by the way, to keep an eye out. Maybe say it in the highlights tonight on BBC One.
What was it, John?
Oh, it was arms, legs, uppercuts, the whole thing. It wasn't quite Alan Pardew, but it wasn't far short.
He reminds me of Basil Fawlty, John, in the technical area, Pep.
Yeah,
his mannerisms, yeah.
Manchester City 2-1 up. Commentary on the Scottish Cup final to come. Celtic against Inverness Caledonian Thistle from Glasgow at 5:30, and then 6:06 after that with Chris and Aaron Paul. Haaland now does well, strong. Gundogan takes it up, plays it to Grealish on the left-hand side. 4 Manchester City men in the middle. Ball into Gundogan. His ball across his block. Back out to Grealish. Grealish now. Haaland, left foot. Saved by De Gea. Gundogan's there. No, the flag's up. And the hat-trick goal is ruled out. And it remains 2-1 Manchester City.
Yeah, Gundogan, as the shot goes in from Haaland, he's 8 yards out. Clean connection with his left foot. De Gea makes a good save down to his right-hand side, but Gundogan looked to be in an offside position. Popped the ball in. I think it's rightly ruled out. Let's have a look. Yes, he's a yard offside, John. The shot goes in. Haaland, he'll feel the net should have been bulging.
Yes, he should. A very good save by De Gea. We should credit him with that. On his left foot, Haaland, what was he, 10 yards out, struck it well enough, but De Gea got down to his right to make the save in the way that I'm sure he wishes he'd been able to do for the second Gundogan goal that was scored 6 minutes into the second half, and means that Manchester City lead the All-Manchester final. Here's Garnacho, though, edge of the area, curler! Wide. He got the curl on it. It bent back in, but from the angle, not enough. Wide by about a foot.
Oh, it's really clever little 1-2 from Garnacho with Bruno Fernandes. Really well-weighted pass from Fernandes on the left-hand side into Garnacho. Takes a really good first touch, Garnacho. And we're right behind this. He's trying to bend the ball in to the far corner. And it goes agonisingly wide. Right-footed. Uses John Stones as a shield, and he's inches away, John.
Yeah, we were right behind it, as Jimmy Armfield used to say, our much-loved colleague. He'd have loved an event like this. Jimmy, a man of the Northwest, and must mention as well our BBC colleague Matt Wayne, who sadly died this week. So sad. Such good fun, Matt, and our thoughts go to his friends and family. Here is Fred, now to the right-hand side. Ball in towards Rashford, but that's headed down and away by Diaz. Comes back out to the right-hand side, and the cross is deflected. Bruno Fernandes' cross deflected behind at source, and it's a corner to Manchester United. It's just threatening to open up this the latter stages of this cup final, and that's what Manchester United need.
That's what they have to do to take the game to Manchester City, and of course there are risks. If you try and do that, you leave gaps, they can exploit it, but no choice for United.
Corner, Bruno Fernandes then, it's a deep, high one looking for Varane, but he was challenged by Akanji, and neither of them got a touch. Ball now with Shaw on the left-hand side. Luke Shaw, then to Fred, curls it into the back post. That's an excellent header in there, and away for Manchester City. Superb that was. Diaz, such an important figure for Manchester City. Well, they've got important figures all around the team, haven't they? And they go all the way back to David De Gea. Let's bring in Jaap Stam again, treble winner with Manchester United. What are you thinking at the moment, Jaap?
Yeah, it looks like United is pushing on a little bit. You know, they're delivering these crosses as well, which doesn't create 100% opportunities, but you know, they're putting the pressure on them, and it's what they need to do. When you're looking at this game, especially the second half, you expect United to go for it as well. When you go 2-1 down after a goal conceded like that from Gundogan, the second one, you need to push on. You need to be very aggressive. You need to make it a game, because if you're not doing that, if you don't show the intention what you want to do, then City's going to have an easy afternoon, and it looks like they've just switched on now.
United with Rashford, then into Sancho. Fred was in there as well, but Manchester City back in numbers. They're being tested. The champions are being tested here. They're in position here for the League and Cup double, for the second part of this possible treble. But Manchester United have woken up.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're a Manchester United fan, you're saying, well, about time, what, 75 minutes into the game, and now they're giving it a real go.
They are, with Garnacho. The bleach blonde hair into Casemiro, back to Garnacho, into the area, little steps, then goes again, and then the challenge is in from John Stones. Actually was able to put it in. Bruno Fernandes over the top, looking for Garnacho again. This is cleared away. Casemiro on the edge of the box, that's given as a foul. His challenge on Rodri, too physical from Casemiro. Free kick to Manchester City on the edge of the penalty area, and disappointment for Manchester United.
Yeah, I think Paul Tierney, the referee, saying it was a handball from Casemiro disagreeing. The last Manchester United gathering a bit of momentum.
Manchester City 2, Manchester United 1. Phil Foden's coming on for the last 15 minutes of the cup final. And Kevin De Bruyne, there has been a question over his fitness. He has missed these later games in the season, and they want to make sure he's absolutely right for Istanbul next Saturday. So that's it. Foden on, De Bruyne off, and to Lords, because Eleanor Oldroyd.
Yes, England have needed just 4 balls to win this test match. 3 fours from Zach Crawley have done it. 12 without loss. England finished, they win by 10 wickets in just 4 balls, but terrific resistance today by Ireland, and a great 5 for Josh Tongue.
And you can listen to Jonathan Agnew and the team wrapping all of that up and the various presentations on Test Match Special on Sports Extra. Scottish Cup final to come from 5:30. Conor Cody is a guest on the Monday Night Club on 5 Live this coming Monday night. And all of the other great live sport this weekend comprehensively covered for you here on the BBC on 5 Live and the World Service. Ball out of play, throw in to Manchester City.
Nice of you to confirm that the Monday Night Club is on Monday night, John.
As usual, just to confirm it, you can set the alarm on your phone if you want. Make sure you get it right. Monday night. 2-1, Manchester City lead. Walker to take the throw on. Manchester City here with Walker. He's taking all of his time here. City, very clever, slowing it down. Some won't like it. Certainly Manchester United fans won't like it. Everybody does it. Walker then chips it forward. Haaland, blonde hair tied up in a ponytail. Bernardo Silva now on the right-hand side tries to slip it through the legs of Varane. Deflected to Rodri. Then Bernardo Silva, little ball into the air. Haaland pulls it down. Poked away by Lindelof. Then Bruno Fernandes is caught by the challenge from Bernardo Silva. Two Portuguese teammates together. Bernardo Silva complaining about it. And we will see now for Manchester United, Wout Weghorst taking the place of Jadon Sancho.
Well, I mean, they've gone long for most of the afternoon, Manchester United, so get the big lad on, John.
Get the big lad on. His last appearance for Manchester United, wasn't able to score in the Premier League, on loan from Burnley. Maybe he'll be playing in the Premier League for Burnley, for Vincent Kompany next season. But what a chance he has here in the last 12 minutes of the FA Cup final, the Emirates FA Cup final, live from sunny Wembley Stadium. Manchester City bring it forward with Grealish, who has his heels clipped by Fred. Yellow card for the Manchester United midfielder. Free kick to Manchester City. Then there's a little bit of afters there. City players surrounding. Well, Casemiro must be involved in that. And 3, 4, 5 of them towering over Casemiro. Not sure whether something was said in there. It's all calmed down, but it's a free kick to Manchester City. However, of course, this also slows the game down for Manchester City.
It's perfect for Manchester City. Really clever from Jack Grealish out on that left-hand side. Lovely turn to get away from Fred, and then just cuts across his path. Fred brings him down. Manchester City just run the clock down, but they've had so much control of this game. The difference between the sides is, Manchester City, they know how they're going to get up the pitch, whether a short passes or balls clipped in from Ortega. Manchester United, they've struggled. That's been their biggest problem this afternoon, getting up the pitch.
City take a short free kick. Gundogan and Foden together. Now it comes back to Rodri, whose pass is pulled down by Foden, did ever so well, then crosses into the back of Wan-Bissaka, shouts for handball from the Manchester City fans, not from the players. Still with Foden, turns, crosses. Haaland couldn't quite get his head to it, and Bernardo Silva right across the face of goal. And sliding in was Akanji. Lindelof went with him. Didn't get a touch from either of them, and it's a goal kick to Manchester United.
He's not far away, Silva. He takes a good first touch with his left foot, hammers the ball with his right foot.
Long ball downfield again for Manchester United. This for Rashford to chase, but not even Rashford can catch that. It bounces away, skips off the surface all the way through into the hoardings. And the Manchester United fans in there, all they can do there, in all of their bucket hats, can call encouragement to Marcus Rashford for the last 10 minutes of the cup final. Manchester City, never mind the possible treble next Saturday. 5 Live, the place to listen to the Champions League final live from Istanbul. Never mind that for the time being. They are 10 minutes away from a double. The great double, capital T, capital D. Only 12 of them in the English game since 1888. Manchester City with Foden on the right-hand side, challenged by Fred, who went sprawling down, and that's a free kick. More frustration. Another little foul by Fred. Fred, who conceded the free kick rather rashly, that led to the second Manchester City goal. Now they've got another free kick on the right-hand side.
Yeah, he needs to be careful. Many more little fouls, and Fred will see red.
Free kick for City. Foden to take this. Manchester United preparing Scott McTominay to come onto the field for what will be their third change. Pep Guardiola just the one substitution so far. Guardiola just out of his coaching area has got some instructions for Bernardo Silva and Gundogan and Foden are all there. It's tapped short. That's what Guardiola wanted. Bernardo Silva then back to Foden. Gundogan on the right hand side. Oh, he's overhit the pass, Foden. It's all the way through for a goal kick. That was a little careless. But goal kick for Manchester United with 8 minutes to go. 2-goal Ilkay Gundogan is going to be the Manchester City hero with this scoreline, this excellent goal-scoring finish to the season. Weghorst is rather carelessly caught offside.
He's got to do much better than that, Weghorst. It's a Manchester City holding a high line, but Weghorst experienced enough to know where to run and how to run. And Casemiro was brave on the ball, but as the ball was fed in behind, Weghorst was offside.
Well, Lindelof has come off and McTominay has come on, and Varane in the middle is standing with his palms apart to Eric Ten Hag on the side of the pitch. And therefore in this position it's Manchester City play a free kick through the middle. Now Varane is with Haaland, but Haaland controls it, turns. Varane out of position now it's back Haaland again, edge of the area, slips it through into the box, double deflection that took it wide off a defender, back onto Haaland, but wide by a yard.
Yeah, so just opens up for Haaland a little bit the space, and he drags the ball inside Casemiro, and there's actually a tackle from Varane, and the ball comes off Haaland's shin and goes wide of De Gea's goal.
Back to Tyneside, the Super League Magic weekend. Dave Woods.
Half-time, Wigan 8, Catalan 24, a burst of 3 tries. Johnson, Whitley and Moore giving Catalan that healthy lead. Wigan 8, Catalan 24, half-time.
Thank you, Dave. 2-1 Manchester City. The attendance for the All-Manchester Cup final is 83,179. I'm just told that Ortega was booked for time wasting in the middle of all that. So yellow card for the Manchester City goalkeeper. It's back with the United goalkeeper, De Gea, who clears long from the ground with Grealish closing him down. Header on the halfway line. McTominay comes across, and Manchester City with the ball. Keep the ball. That's the message, I'm sure, from Guardiola. Bernardo Silva on the right-hand side. Back infield to John Stones.
But that, John, I mean, De Gea hitting a long diagonal ball above Bruno Fernandes up against Akanji. There's only going to be one winner there.
Bernardo Silva curling a pass forward. That was cut out, importantly, by Fred. And then it dribbles out of play off Bernardo Silva, throwing for Manchester United. I mean, they've had a little goal, Manchester United. They had a little period there, but Manchester City have again regained control. Weghorst now to McTominay, and then through the middle to Rashford. Challenge comes in from Akanji. McTominay wins it back. Rashford with a touch. Garnacho back to Rashford, edge of the area, dances into the box, goes down as the challenges come in, and then it's played away by Rodri. Manchester United take up possession again. Rashford still down in the box. Garnacho taking on Bernardo Silva, goes round him into the penalty area, but the covering challenge is there from Rodri, who blocks it behind off Garnacho. Rashford is still down on his knees in the penalty area and now climbs to his feet. Goal kick, Manchester City.
It's good from Rodri, smelling the danger, making the challenge, and it comes back off Garnacho. I've actually liked Garnacho since he's come on. He's carried a threat off that left-hand side for Manchester United. He's positive every time he gets the ball, looks to drive at Kyle Walker, and things look like they're going to happen from that left-hand side for Manchester United now.
Manchester United with McTominay on, so now the back line is effectively Wan-Bissaka, Varane and Shaw, with Fred and Casemiro in front of them. As Shaw plays it up to Garnacho, who turned Walker and in fact was fouled by Walker. Free kick to Manchester United inside their own half. There are 4 minutes to go. Manchester City lead Manchester United by 2-1. Dramatic start to this FA Cup final when Ilkay Gundogan scored in the 13th second, the fastest goal in an FA Cup final. Pep Guardiola wants to bring Nathan Ake on, and he's just getting his match shirt, just pulling it on, his long hair down over the back of his shirt, and Pep Guardiola is all animation there. He's making signals out towards the far side of the pitch. Long ball forward from De Gea, chested down by Weghorst, Rashford, Weghorst, then McTominay with a shot, but that's blocked on the edge of the penalty area. Scott McTominay, remember, dramatic late goals from him against Manchester City in the past. Here's Fred now. Fred square to the edge of the box. Rashford in the D with his back to goal, gives it back to Shaw. Shaw, left-footed ball out towards the right-hand side. That's taken down by Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes onto his left foot, then back onto his right with Akanji, then back onto his left. The cross over everyone, and cheers from Manchester City. It's behind. It's a goal kick, and Manchester City are now less than 3 minutes plus added time away from victory in the cup final.
Yeah, he worked hard, Bruno Fernandes, chopping onto his right foot, his left foot eventually working a little half yard, but poor quality on the cross.
And there's a bit of confusion over this substitution. Nathan Ake put the orange bib back on, now he's taken it off. There must be an issue. Is there an issue over someone's fitness? As the ball bounces back for Manchester City, but Diaz is underneath that, headed back to Ortega, who volleys it up and then catches it. Certainly, we talked about his position before the start of the match, but he's looked very comfortable, Ortega, with the ball at his feet, in contrast to De Gea at the other end.
That's been the difference, isn't it? Is that Pep Guardiola has faith in Ortega to play out from the back, and Erik ten Hag doesn't have faith in David De Gea. Simple as that.
Manchester United, League Cup winners back in February, but behind in the FA Cup final. Manchester City, Gundogan turns, brings that ball that was played to him at pace down brilliantly. Prime Zidane, Gundogan onto this again, left side of the box, cuts it back, but then across came Luke Shaw, importantly, right across the 6-yard box from his left-sided position to clear it out for a throw.
He's such an elegant player, isn't he, Gundogan? Took the ball beautifully there, but such an important player for Manchester City. He was well read, actually, Gundogan, when he actually got the cross in from Luke Shaw, who tracked Foden's run in across the box and got there first.
And it's Grealish who is coming off. He's left the pitch on the far side. Is he okay? Grealish seems to be walking all right.
He looks okay.
So Nathan Ake is on under the left side of the Manchester City defence. Just goes and has a word with Rodri. We're in the 90th minute now. 2-1 Manchester City. Throw in for City. Casemiro is there. Hooks it away. Hoists it away. Only to the edge of his own box. Shaw cleared. No distance on that. Comes back to Varane. He chips it forward, but that just giving possession back to Manchester City. And now Manchester United look to break. That looked like a handball by Rodri as Bruno Fernandes played it forward. The ball bounces over to the far side. Wan-Bissaka was onto it. Referee Tierney was playing the advantage there, but it didn't develop, and so he brings it back for the Rodri handball.
And Rodri booked, and quite rightly so. It was actually sloppy play from Manchester City on that right-hand side, allowing Manchester United to break. But I think Ake has come on as a player of decent height to deal with Manchester United's direct style.
Here is the long free kick for Manchester United, headed away. Is that 4 minutes, did I hear there? Comes out to the edge of the penalty area. And here's Garnacho now. Garnacho into the box, all energy, left-footed ball across, but a sliding, a falling Akanji gets his right foot to it to clear it up in the air. Now Fred plays it in from the left-hand side. Haaland's back there inside his own box. All of those goals that he scored. There's an important defensive header from the Norwegian. Foden very nearly brings that ball down, impossibly, in the centre circle. Does bounce away from him though, and then Shaw puts in the challenge. That's given us a free kick. Foden sliding in on Shaw. Free kick Manchester United on the halfway line. So less than 4 minutes to go. That's how long Manchester United's players have to score a goal and deny Manchester City victory in the FA Cup final, but also halt their progress towards this possible treble. The treble Manchester United did back in '99 when Manchester City were down in the third tier. Shaw playing the ball in from the left-hand side, bounces back, deflected up, goalkeeper came out, hits the bar, it's headed over by McTominay. underneath the crossbar, and it got a touch, it got a deflection. It's a corner. It seemed certain McTominay would head that in, but there was a defender there with him, and it is a corner to Manchester United. So close.
Yeah, I think it was Varane who nearly got the ball in from the knockdown from McTominay. It may have been a heavy touch from McTominay, but somehow Manchester City scrambled the ball clear. Is it Varane? I think it is, yeah. And the ball loops up onto the bar, back.
And then McTominay with a follow-up header. I'm not sure whether Manchester City touch was in on all of that. Anyway, it is a corner. It's a corner that's been given. Varane with a chance. Ortega played his part there, importantly. He was in the 6-yard box, Varane. That was a big chance. Corner then for Manchester United in added time. Manchester City leading 2-1. Packed penalty area. Everyone's back for Manchester City. Here's the delivery. It's over McTominay. And then Rashford swings a foot at it. It was blocked, though. Blocked by Akanji out of the penalty area. Shaw with his socks down almost to his ankles. Shaw again, outside of his boot to Garnacho. Garnacho, left-footed ball to the back post, but it's over. Everyone, Casemiro chases, he can't reach it. City cheers, the ball bounces out of play. 2.5 minutes of added time have been played, and Manchester City are nearly there.
Yeah, I've got to say Garnacho's been excellent since he's come on, and maybe there'll be an element of regret from Erik ten Hag that Garnacho didn't start the game. Wasn't the greatest cross from him, but he has been direct, has been really positive. Just seeing that save from Ortega again, off his shin onto the top of the bar and back, and McTominay can't direct the header. John Stones, I think, headers the crossbar.
Maybe. Actually, the goalkeeper recovered to get a fingertip on it to touch it over. I think it was going over anyway, off the head of McTominay. So it was the right decision. And Manchester City have got a man down in the box. Laporte is going to come on very shortly. Looks as though he might be leaving Manchester City at the end of this season, judging by how he was when Manchester City were presented with the Premier League trophy. Ilkay Gundogan, unsurprisingly perhaps, has been named as the man of the match, the man who scored the 2 goals for Manchester City in this final. Bruno Fernandes made it 1-1 with a penalty late in the first half. But Manchester City have deserved it. They've deserved what they've got here.
They've been by far the better team. Such a golfing class. Kyle Walker, is he coming off?
Possibly.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, has Pep gone all Sam Allardyce here playing, getting all his centre-halves on?
Well, Sam Allardyce did say he could teach Pep Guardiola a thing or two. And here we are, the living embodiment. Well, this is a worry, of course, for Istanbul, with Kyle Walker, who is, while all of the others have been resting, he started 11 of the last 12, the now 33-year-old, and I'm sure he'll be part of the plan for Istanbul, but he's walking away, but there is a limp to his walk.
Yeah, and the versatile Akanji comes across the right back. What a signing he's been.
Yeah. So Laporte is on for the last knockings. I make it, we are beyond the 4 minutes. Manchester City are nearly there for part 2 of the possible treble. Haaland carries the ball downfield and takes it on towards the corner flag. He's cheered for taking it to the corner flag, and now he's cheered, the big Norwegian, for winning a corner off Varane. I think this is it. I think this will be the final play of the match. It's a corner to Manchester City. Their supporters are on their feet. What a season they're having. Champions League final to come against Inter. And now, moments away, seconds away from winning against their fiercest rivals in the FA Cup final and making it a League and Cup double. Corner is taken short. It's cleared away by Varane. Still Paul Tierney says play on. And we've now had over 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes of added time. It'll be a sky blue cheer that you will hear in a moment or so. Ake takes the throw down the line. Varane heads it away. Hooked to it further away. Casemiro with a header. Manchester United can't get out of their own half. Stones heads it forward. Fernandes volleys it downfield, but Garnacho is beaten to it by Akanji. It's back with Ortega, and there it is. Wild Manchester City celebrations around half of Wembley Stadium. The All-Manchester Cup final, the first of its kind, has been won by Pep Guardiola and his team, and he's surrounded by his coaches. The Manchester City players celebrate, jumping into one another's arms. It's a double. It's a League and FA Cup double for Manchester City. Manchester United couldn't deny them, and now they're 2/3 of the way to the treble. 2-1 winners. Chris Sutton.
Yeah, Manchester City double, a Gundogan double, and as you said, a step away from the treble. In truth, there was a gulf in class this afternoon. Manchester City fans have the bragging rights, but they have the better team, and Erik ten Hag and his team have had a really excellent season, but Manchester City are still miles clear of them. They dictated the game, they dominated the game, thoroughly deserved the victory. Gundogan a couple of special goals, albeit I felt De Gea should have done much better, but the best team won on the day, and Manchester is blue.
Yeah, Stan, can't quibble with that, can you?
No, City were the better team on the day. We all know the quality, what they're having. They showed it again today that they're dominating English football, which is a credit to them. Still, it's for me, and I think for all the United fans, it's hard to see that United still is a long way from that level. Looking at this particular game as well, where I know football's changing as well. As a team, you know yourself as well that you're facing an opposition with a lot of quality, but it means that you really need to put a fight in. You need to really get stuck in there, and you know, is that what we've really seen? I doubt it.
And what scenes of celebration we're seeing now in front of us here in Wembley Stadium. The Manchester City players break away from the halfway line, led by Erling Haaland, who's like a Norwegian marauder. He's like a Viking, leading the celebrations, punching the air, skipping, punching the skies, and all of those sky blue and white flags are waved in celebration, while at the other end, thousands and thousands of empty red seats appear as the Manchester United supporters make their way out of Wembley Stadium. So there we are, final score in the 2023 FA Cup final.